projects like this help
It's interesting when businesses are talking about where they're going to locate, where they're going to build. One of the first questions is, where's the airport? And if you have an airport that is not only convenient, but safe, people feel better about your community. So for Southern Illinois, when it comes to Marion, Carbondale, these airports really mean a lot about the economic future.
I have a question that's not related to investment. Ohio just announced today that Bill Daley had resigned. Are you concerned about what that means in terms of getting things done in the Senate, or getting in terms of the president's agenda, or election year, when you have a shake-up like that at that administrative level?
I talked to Bill Daley today, and he spent Christmas home with his family, children and grandchildren, said to his wife, I want to go back to Chicago. And I understand that at this point in his life. The continuity will continue. Jack Lew, who's going to take over in that position, has been director of the budget and a man who knows his way around Washington for many years. So I think the president still has a strong team. Bill Daley's going back to Chicago to help out in the campaign.
Kevin, what do you see as the most pressing issue before Congress is in the middle of the election year?
Let me tell you, automatically the answer is jobs, but I would say there's something else that we need to move on as quickly. The postal reform. What's going to happen to our postal processing facilities? If Congress does not act and pass by May 15th a postal reform which keeps the Postal Service going, we're going to see a shutdown of 9 postal processing facilities in our state. And that is going to be a devastating blow. 1,800 jobs will be lost. I don't want that to happen. So we need to get to work right away on a bipartisan basis and get the post office back into a position where it's solidly in black ink.
One of those processing centers is in Carbondale, looking at merging it with Evans here in Indiana. The post office has said it's a matter of excess capacity. What needs to be done there?
Well, here's the reality. The post office in the last few years has seen a 30% decline in first-class mail. Think about those of us who use bill payer, emails. We don't buy as many stamps. And so the post office business is down. They've reduced personnel, and now they have a lot of retirees coming. So they've been banking money for the future. They have over $45 billion banked away for future pension and health care costs. We've got to make sure that we're taking care of the promises made to the postal employees, putting the money aside. We cannot lose the basic idea of the Postal Service. It isn't just a critical part of the economy, it's a public service. To say that every home, every business in America is going to have universal service from our postal department. We make a lot of jokes about postal service in America, but you ought to go to some other country and try to mail a letter and watch what happens. You'll come to appreciate what a great postal department we have.
2 quick questions for you, Senator. One, you made no bones about the earmarks going into building this area, and you said it kind of comically, but what's your thoughts on that? It was built with an earmark.
Listen, I'm from downstate Illinois, and I've been scrambling with a lot of members in the delegation to bring every dollar home that we can to Southern Illinois, all across our state. Now, one of the tools that I use, the earmark process, has been eliminated. I take a look at this and say $800,000 earmark in this building is going to serve this economy and create jobs. It's a good investment. No bones about it. Glad to announce it from the rooftops. So I think going back to earmarks, when people are open and make a public disclosure and they're in the public interest, that's the way we ought to go.
One other thing, GOP primaries heating up. What are you thinking about that, and what are you watching? Do you think some of these candidates, you think they're going to narrow out? Do you think Mitt Romney is going to be going to win the nomination? What are you thinking there?
Well, it's interesting for me being a Democrat watching on the sidelines while those Republicans struggle with one another, and I don't want to get in their way if they're going to be chopping on one another. But I will say this: I think Governor Romney is the odds-on favorite. I think his win in Iowa was really close, 8 votes. He should get more than half the votes in New Hampshire. That's his backyard. He's run there before. We'll just see what happens.
What if Ron Paul shows up as an independent candidate?
I respect Ron Paul, disagree with him on a bunch of things, but I've never known a person who has been more steady and determined in his own politics. We disagree on a lot of things, but I respect him for standing up and saying what he believes.
Can you tell us, what do you think the prospects are on extension of the payroll tax for a full year? That still needs to be addressed. And
listen, we had some good news last week, 200,000 more jobs, and we can't mess it up. Congress has to extend this payroll tax cut for working families all across the United States. and it expires at the end of February. So we need to roll up our sleeves and make sure we do that right away.
What do you think the prospects are, though? When is everyone going to come back and get to work on this?
Well, we get back to work in a couple of weeks, but they're still working on it right now. The conference committee's meeting, so they'll come up with some ideas on how to fund it and what to do with it. But let us not, as a Congress, mess up the economic recovery. On a bipartisan basis, we've got to keep this moving forward. We're moving, it's slow, but we are improving.